What's up, everyone? Brickhouse here, and we got a little controversy brewing. Monday night, WNBA held its annual draft. As expected, Caitlin Clark was drafted number 1 to the Indiana Fever. Well, her salary leaked out, and she's set to make her rookie year $76,535 and $338,056 over the next 4 seasons. That's according to Spot Track. Now, the controversy arises because some people out there are saying, well, she's not getting paid equally to the players of the NBA. In fact, Jemele Hill, she's come out and say it's a form of misogyny. We have a gender pay gap. The WNBA players aren't being paid enough. In fact, even Joe Biden stumbled into this conversation. And all I got to say is, if you want Caitlin Clark to get paid the same money as an NBA player, by the way, without bankrupting the WNBA, then the WNBA needs to work on getting paid rights fees to broadcast their games. So here we have from the New York Post. Biden wades into Caitlin Clark contract controversy after WNBA draft. Caitlin Clark's new WNBA salary went viral. President Biden has taken notice. Already went over the numbers. WNBA salaries have been a topic for years, often forcing players to go overseas to play in the WNBA offseason. But Clark's rise to stardom has brought new interest and opinions to the sport. Now, my opinion, she should have stayed that 5th year at Iowa. Why should she have stayed that 5th year in Iowa? Well, A, she would have made more in NIL money staying at Iowa. And B, with her endorsements, she would have made more money overall staying at Iowa that one more season. Not to mention the fact it would have been nice to see her go for another NCAA women's basketball title at Iowa. So she could silence the doubters as far as being the GOAT, meaning greatest of all time in women's college basketball. So here we have Joe Biden wading in. Women in sports continue to push new boundaries and inspire us all. But right now we're seeing that even if you're the best, women are not paid their fair share. Oh, there it is again, fair share. It's time that we give our daughters the same opportunities as our sons and ensure women are paid what they deserve. Okay. I got no problem with that. Clark was taken number 1 overall by the Indiana Fever on Monday night after leading Iowa to back-to-back national championship appearances. Now, if you want to compare her to Victor Wembanyama, the number 1 pick of the Spurs in the 2023 draft, he's making $55.1 million over 4 years. Do the math, it's about between $13 and $14 million a year compared to Caitlin Clark's $76,000, almost $77,000 her first year. But here's the reality. This is where reality sets in. This is where logic sets in. This is where reason sets in. The WNBA currently makes $60 million a season from their TV contracts. ESPN, CBS, ION, and Amazon. And that's from Front Office Sports. $60 million. The NBA, you say? $2.7 billion with a B annually from their TV contracts with Turner and ESPN. So how are you going to pay Caitlin Clark the same money that you're going to pay an NBA player if the WNBA is making $60 million a season from their TV partners versus the NBA making $2.7 billion? The answer is you're not. Not to mention the fact that NBA players get 50% of the revenue from broadcast rights and ticket sales per the deal with the union. WNBA players only get 50% of the league's excess money after it hits a certain revenue target. Now, Kathy Engelbert was on CNBC and recently told them the hope is to double the rights fees when they expire in 2025. So if you double your rights fees, now you're going to make $120 million a season from your TV partners. That's still well short of $2.7 billion. Now, needless to say, the ratings are going to go up, especially with Caitlin Clark now being in the WNBA. But the WNBA, they had some pretty good ratings. In fact, the ratings growth grew to 505,000 viewers per game last season, their most in 21 years. Now, the draft, it shattered previous rating records, 2.46 million viewers over on ESPN. So that's the reality, folks. I'm all for women in sports making more money, but the money's got to be there. Now, Jemele Hill, she of course had to chime in, as she usually does in these situations. She said that on her X account, Jemele Hill ranted about the pay discussion surrounding Clark, the WNBA's popularity compared to the NBA on a timeline, the dangers of letting WNBA players pursue more money overseas, Brittany Griner, and called the discussions of salary difference between WNBA and NBA a form of misogyny. Well, I expect to hear all that BS spewed out of Jemele Hill's mouth, because that's what comes out of Jemele Hill's mouth most of the time is BS. I'm already annoyed by this conversation because for years, WNBA players have fought for more money. The perpetually pissed writer, whose platform is far too reliant on identity politics, made questionable declarations in her online rant. Hill seemingly protected Caitlin Clark despite having targeted Clark weeks earlier, demanding that the media spend more time highlighting black athletes instead of a white player from Iowa. See how Jemele likes to talk out of both sides of her mouth? And when they were outspoken, so many of y'all told them to shut up or remind them how they had no value. The NBA has had 50 plus years of investment, media coverage, etc. After 27 years, the WNBA will not be the current NBA. So stop comparing them. You have to compare them. Further context, the salary is for 4 months of basketball, 40 games. Players also receive a free apartment plus a car. That doesn't make the salaries acceptable. But now you know why so many women's players play overseas to supplement their income. Weaponizing this information against WNBA players is another form of misogyny. Well, Jemele, let's see. The women play a 40-game season. The men play an 82-game season. There's that. The NBA has been around for how long? More than 50 years. The NBA has been around, I think since I want to say the 30s, maybe. Could be wrong on that. Wouldn't be the first time I'm wrong. but really didn't gain traction until the 1980s. Remember, you didn't have live NBA finals on TV until like 1984, 85. So yeah, once the money flows in for the WNBA, especially when it comes to rights fees, the players will make more money. It will happen. These women have been dreaming of playing professionally in front of American audiences their whole lives. Instead of clowning and reminding them of what they're not, buy the merchandise, go to the games, watch the games on TV. Very easy to criticize when most of y'all couldn't get paid to compete at anything. I guess that would include Jemele. The silver lining in this rant, if any, was Jemele's challenge to so-called WNBA fans to put their money up and truly support the league instead of lamenting the financials between men and women's leagues. But you have to look at the financials. That's the crux of it. The financials is the meat on the bone. More often than not, people will pretend to be a champion and watch women's basketball without actually supporting it. However, if you ask Jemele Hill, she'd likely attribute the difference to a bias towards men's sports, disregarding the superior product. Jemele Hill's heart was in identifying an injustice in the Clark salary situation and turning it into one of her woke rants. Then this goes into President Biden's X account, which I already went over. I mean, yeah, Caitlin Clark made millions in NIL money. So when I was talking about revenue, according to Statista, the NBA generated $10.58 billion in revenue in 2023. The WNBA drew $200 million in revenue. The figure is passable until you compare it to 2022. That year, the WNBA generated $60 million in revenue, presenting a massive uptick in audiences that may quell, or Clark can keep the momentum going as a new face of women's basketball. So there you have it, folks. What do you guys think out there? Do you think all this brouhaha over Caitlin Clark's salary is really a nothing burger? I think it's a nothing burger, especially when you look at the numbers. You look at the revenue generated. You look at the rights fees that are paid to these leagues by their partners in TV. There ain't no way Caitlin Clark can make a salary of an NBA player without bankrupting the league. So comment down below. Tell me what you think. I know this video is a little long. While you're at it, please take the time to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a video. And I thank you for taking the time to watch. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. And I will see you guys on the next one.